What is up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of the 2 Game Podcast. We are reviewing Daredevil Season 2 today. And I just want to go ahead and preface this just right out the gate. I really don't want to spend 20 minutes just shit-talking Season 2 because I do feel like there are a lot of good things that happen in the season, and even some great things. But it's one of those things where it's like with every step forward with this season, they take 2 steps back almost. And it's just like anytime they get momentum, there's something there that just absolutely crushes that momentum. And again, I don't want to spend the entire episode just shit talking Season 2 because I do think overall it is a good season. It pales in comparison to Season 1 by a lot. Like, it's not even close. And the thing about Season 2, in comparison to Season 1, it just feels like there's so much going on that it's almost kind of busting at the seams, so to speak. While I definitely love the Punisher being incorporated into Season 2, I think it gives a nice little storyline. I think they should have went one way or the other, either adding in Frank Castle or adding in Elektra. I think once you added both of those huge characters into Season 2, like everything got thrown to the wayside a little bit. It's one of those things where if you're trying to do multiple things, you end up not accomplishing anything. And I just think everything suffers this season in comparison to Season 1. And a lot of that is, again, due to the fact that they have split this season into Frank and Elektra, and Daredevil is in the middle of all that. And I think if they would have went one way or the other, it probably would have been better. And personally, I wish they would have just stuck with the Punisher being the main focus for Season 2. And then on the flip side of things, kind of focus on Matt's relationship with Foggy and Karen. The show is at its best when those 3 characters are interacting with one another and they're having real life, relatable moments between them in obviously a superhero setting. Now, don't get me wrong. Elektra is great in this season. The chemistry there is just super fucking palpable, and there's just so much sexual tension going on between them that I think they absolutely nailed it. I think where the season really falls apart for me is the fact that you're incorporating Elektra into this. That's fine. But then she has her own hidden agenda, and now she's the Black Sky, and so on and so forth. And then you got Stick into the mix, which we all know how I feel about Stick. He was one of my least favorite aspects of Season 1, even with him only being in 1 episode. And here we are again, bringing him back for Season 2. And I don't care for Stick as a character. I don't know how he is in the comics. I've never read any of the Daredevil comic books, but if we're going based off of just what's happening in the TV series, I'm just not a huge fan of him. I don't care for his character. I don't like the relationship between him and Matt, but that's a whole separate thing. I'm not going to get on a rant about that. But when you bring in Elektra and you bring in all this stuff about the hand and the Black Sky, I think they just did not know where to go to make that storyline interesting, because you have all of these little quote-unquote side adventures between Matt and Elektra where they're going off and fighting the hand and so on and so forth. And it's just not interesting. Like, anytime that they went out and fought, I was just thinking about, man, I could just really just like fast forward this. And the action, even though the action is better in Season 2 than Season 1, I think the fight choreography and the circumstances that the characters are in are less interesting, if that makes any sense. I can't really explain it. It looks better, but in terms of whether or not I'm caring about what's going on the screen, I have less interest in the action this season in comparison to 1. But overall, it does look better. I can actually see what the hell is going on in every episode. I like all the stuff with the Punisher with this season. I just think they should have cut it out a little bit. And the same thing with Elektra. I think if you have Elektra in there, that's fine. But I don't know, maybe not devote so much time to the hand, which is some of the most uninteresting bullshit that I've had to watch recently. Let's talk about Karen specifically for a second. You know, for a decent majority of the season, I don't think the writers knew what to do with Karen. It was just like she was just there. It just took forever for them to really give her a purpose. And what I appreciated about season 1 was she played the fence in this, I don't want to say a triangle relationship because that's not what it was, but there was some sexual tension between her and Foggy and then her and Matt. And it was like she never committed to either one of them. And it was just a platonic type of relationship, but the tensions was always there, right? And I appreciated that. And he doesn't really play that this season. It's where she's going to Matt now and they start dating for a bit. And then she becomes the girlfriend who also doesn't ask a whole lot of questions about Matt when they're dating, which is kind of weird. But I just feel like they didn't know what to do with Karen for a majority of this season. And then let's not even talk about the fact that in season 1, she kills somebody, okay? And then season 2, we just about never bring it up. And no future spoilers, for a huge moment in a character and her arc and development, for that to go 13 episodes plus without ever being mentioned or brought up or anything like that, I just think that was a huge mistake for sure. So Karen didn't really get the best this season, I don't think. They just didn't know what to do with her. And I think that does get fixed in season 3. Now, Matt and Foggy, I really liked what they were doing with those two and their relationship throughout this season. You know, Matt's life is slowly crumbling. He's losing everyone. The dual identities, the classic hero story of the personal life will always suffer. And I really like that Foggy is kind of in the middle of all that. And Foggy is over here like, hey, don't do this shit. You know, don't be a vigilante. Come and be with me as a lawyer and let's do it the right way. And I think some of that tension and that conflict between those two characters makes the season, it's the most interesting aspect of the season outside of some of the stuff that happens with the Punisher and the Punisher versus Matt and those ideals. This arc for season 2 is Matt trying to deal with his life as a hero and as Matt Murdock, and he's trying to come to grips with the killing versus not killing, right? And for the majority of the season, he is perfectly like on one side of the fence, won't sway from it. And I think that's really interesting between Matt and the Punisher. And when we're going from season 1, 2, and 3, that arc makes a little bit more sense. So I'll be kind of bring that up in my season 3 review. Now, again, that's a lot of the issues that I have with the season. I just think personally, this is just not as good as season 1. It's just not as interesting to me. I think the story is ultimately the reason why I just fall off of this so hard. It was a struggle to get through season 2. I'm not gonna lie. Like, it took me almost 2 weeks to get through it, and I was breezing through season 1 in hopes to finish it before Born Again comes out. It's got some great moments. It's got some great dramatic moments, some great action sequences between John Bernthal as the Punisher versus Matt Murdock. I think those sequences are really good. Especially, I think it's the last fight that I prefer a little bit more than the first fight. But then we have the rooftop scene between Matt and Frank, and that scene is really great. And really, they're not even doing anything. They're just having conversation together. And I really appreciate some of the ideas and some of the acting there is just really great. And that part of the storytelling is just, again, it's one of the reasons why I love Daredevil. But then we have shit with Elektra and Matt and the Hand, and it's just not as interesting. Like, every time that they go on one of those side missions, I could just think of other things that I'd rather be doing or watching. And then some of the storytelling just kind of falls off in regards to, I'll go back to the Karen and Matt issue, the conflict towards the end where they kind of break up. And it's all related because she walks in, she sees this old dude in his apartment. She has no idea who he is. But then she walks into the bedroom, she sees Elektra in the bed, and then Matt standing there. And it's like, you look, and then you just walk out, and there's this huge conflict and divide between Karen and Matt now. And it's like, okay, like, I get that you found a woman in his bed, but it's not like you just walked in and there was no old man there who, again, is blind. And you're not going to ask, why is there another blind man in your apartment? But you're not going to ask any questions about why is this chick in my bed? Like, are you sleeping with her? None of those questions are ever asked. For a woman that is trying to be a reporter, you sure did a shitty job of asking questions here. So I think like moments like that with the story, it's just, okay, we didn't really think the story all the way through. And then we have the shit with Claire, which, oh my gosh, I'm so glad the storyline with Claire is over because, and this might be the fact that I'm a paramedic, I find her to be very unlikable as a character. Anytime that she talks in the show, I find myself rolling my eyes. I don't know if I'm the only one. Could just be me. I don't know. But it's just like any time that she talks and she's talking about being a nurse and she's going through procedures and she's making medical diagnoses, I'm just like, bro, are you fucking kidding me? Could we get someone on the show that doesn't sound like a fucking robot when they talk? I didn't necessarily mind her in season 1. It was like season 2. Okay, I've had enough. I've had enough of her. I'm ready for her to go. I'm glad that storyline is over. She's just another character that stole time away from some of the other interactions that we could have gotten. So again, there's some moments that are really cool with the story, but then there's some bullshit that goes along with it. And I think that's really what helps this season just drag on through these 13 episodes. And last thing that I'll mention, it's not a surprise that when they brought back Vincent D'Onofrio as Wilson Fisk for season 2, when he came in, it was a welcomed addition. The relationship between Wilson Fisk and Matt Murdock in this Daredevil TV series is not to be trifled with. Like, I think it's one of the best conflicts between a villain and superhero in any type of superhero movie or TV show ever made. And I think once he came back, I was like, oh, dude, let's fucking go. Like, the season instantly got better as soon as Wilson Fisk got introduced into the fray. So I wish he would have had a little bit more to do with the season, especially early on. And again, I don't know if you bring him back for 3 seasons and make him the villain 3 seasons in a row. I'm not saying that. Like, I get it. There would be complaints out there that, well, he would be overplayed or overused. And I understand that. But they could have done something a little bit different, incorporate him into that storyline a little bit more. I think that's the route that they should have gone rather than Punisher and the Hand, which I would have rather just the Hand not ever been introduced here. Like Nobu as a villain for this season, hard pass. Hard pass. Just so uninteresting. They introduced him at the very end. We could have done so much better than bring back this dude from season 1. That was a cool fight in season 1, but we don't need him to be kind of the main villain for the Hand in season 2. We just don't need it. But guys, let me know down in the comments below if I'm right, if I'm wrong. I told you I didn't want to bitch and moan about season 2 for 20 minutes, and unfortunately, that's kind of what happens. But I just think there was so much wrong with this season that it's not that great to me. I think if you had to score it, I didn't score season 1, but if you had to score season 2, I'm telling you, I think you score 5 to 6. I think 6 would probably be where I would end up on it. And that's mainly with some of the character interactions that really kind of keep it afloat for me. I just think this is not a great season. And I would struggle to get through season 2 for a third time. And I definitely wouldn't be ecstatic about rewatching the series once again. Guys, let me know down in the comments below if I'm right, if I'm wrong, and I will catch y'all next time on the season 3 review, and then we'll start doing episodic reviews of Born Again. Super excited to talk about season 3, guys, because I'm going to do the exact opposite of what I just did here for season 3. And I'm very happy and stoked to watch Born Again and see what all the hype is about that new series. But guys, that's going to be it for me. I will catch y'all next time on another episode. Laters.